Today we're going to learn how to complete the Third Party Financing Addendum. It's a tricky form for agents to fill out because you'll need to get some of the information from your buyer's lender. Make sure they have a lender you can actually talk to. Now let's begin. The first line will be the property address as it appears on the contract. Then, for type of financing, you'll choose only one type, even though we'll cover several options in this video. Conventional financing is the most common type of financing, so in most cases you'll check box A in section 1. To finish this section, you'll need two key numbers, the sales price and the down payment amount. The minimum down payment is typically 3%, but get the down payment required from the lender. Then simply calculate. Sales price minus down payment equals the loan amount. In our example, we'll use Dallas-Fort Worth's current median sales price, which is $400,000. If our buyer is putting down 3%, that's $12,000, so the loan amount will be $388,000. For due in full, we almost always put 30 years, but it can sometimes be 15 years. Usually not though, as those have higher monthly payments. For the interest rate, to protect your buyer, put an amount above the current market rate. While this video is being made, rates are close to 7%, so we'll go ahead and put 7.5%. For the per annum blank, put 30 years. Just make it match the one above. Then for loan origination charges, they're typically 1%, so we'll put 1% here, and that's it for this first paragraph. FHA loans usually have a minimum down payment of 3.5%, so be sure to calculate your loan amount correctly. For FHA loans, you'll always put 203B in the first box. Then the rest is similar to conventional. However, our down payment is 3.5%, so our loan amount will be $386,000. Then put 30 years. For the interest rate, use an amount above the current rate. In this case, we'll put 7.5%. Then for per annum, put 30 years, and finally put 1% for origination fees. VA loans offer exceptional benefits to qualified veterans, including no down payment requirement and lower interest rates than conventional loans. This can save your veteran buyers tens of thousands of dollars over the life of the loan. VA loans do have a funding fee, but don't include that in the amount you put on the addendum. So in the first blank, put the entire minimum loan amount, not including the funding fee. Basically, you'll put the purchase price your buyer is offering here. The number of years is almost always 30. VA loans have better interest rates, but we'll still put an amount here above the current market rate, so let's go with 7.5%. The per annum will be the same as the length of the loan, in this case 30 years. And for origination charges, let's just put 1%. And you're done with this section. Paragraph 2 is where your timing skills become crucial. There are two approval types, buyer approval and property approval. Let's start with buyer approval. Buyer approval protects your client's financial qualifications. You'll typically want to check the first box for the most protection. Then you must insert the number of days your buyer has to obtain financing. The more days, the more protection for your buyer. We recommend using 28 days, which allows the lender 4 full weeks to get their work done. If it's a seller's market, however, you may have to go with fewer days, such as 21. If that's the case, make sure your buyer is already pre-approved, as you don't want to run out of days for your buyer to be able to terminate due to not being able to obtain financing. Make sure your buyers use a reputable lender who provides weekly updates, so you'll know exactly where your buyer stands throughout the approval process. Let's talk about property approval. There's nothing to fill out in this section, but just know this is automatic and protects against appraisal issues and inspection discoveries that affect lending and insurability. If the lender decides the property doesn't meet their requirements, the buyer can terminate. Notice it says third day before closing. That's not negotiable. Here's a section many agents overlook, but it's mandatory when using FHA or VA financing. Paragraph 4, the FHA VA required provision. You must fill in the dollar amount on the line that says appraised value of the properties of not less than blank, and the amount you should put in the blank is the contract sales price. And here's why. If the appraisal comes in at or above the contract price, the deal proceeds normally. If the appraisal comes in below the contract price, the buyer can walk away with no penalty under federal law. This is a federal requirement. Buyers can't be forced to complete purchases where appraisal is below the contract price. Before you submit your offer, take your time and make sure this addendum is filled out correctly. Is the financing type box checked and completely filled out? Is the interest rate set to an amount above the current market rate for your buyer protection? Are the buyer approval days realistic for loan type? Do the property address and buyer names match the contract exactly? Have the buyers initialed and signed in the right spots? Accuracy is everything. One wrong checkbox could void all the protections for your buyers. And that's it. You're now ready to fill out the Third Party Financing Addendum. Every properly completed financing addendum protects a client's dream and builds your reputation as an agent who gets deals done right. You've got this. Now go make some dreams come true.